Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for staying for this session as well. Before I even introduce myself, a very important note. I think we're all conscious here on this panel that we are the session hosted just before the lunch break. So we are aware of that fact, and we will do our best to manage the time well, so you don't lose much on that important part of the day. My name is Anja Gengo, and I work at the Internet Governance Forum Secretariat that is based at the United Nations office in Geneva. And it is a great honor and pleasure for the Secretariat to be here in this gorgeous city of Amman and to experience wonderful hospitality of our host country, Jordan. And I use this opportunity, of course, to thank the UNESCO, our dear friends there, as well as the members of the multi-stakeholder organizing committee gathered around the Arab IGF, and of course the Digital Cooperation and Development Forum for convening us all here today in the next 3 days. Now, since early this morning, we have been hearing a lot of references and elaboration on the implementation of the Global Digital Compact, on the 20 years review of the World Summit on the Information Society, and with a reason. This is a very important year, a year of decision making, and it is onus on all of us to ensure that the decision makers are informed so that we can indeed speak about brighter, better digital future for everyone. And the purpose of this session is indeed that, to look at how can we really harness the digital technologies and use this momentum of decision making to make good decisions for our good digital governance, long-term speaking. And I am today in a very good company, of course, both in this room, but also online. So let me quickly introduce you our speakers who will be setting the stage in the first couple of minutes. But then I'm going to ask you to please take notes. And then we will be opening the floor shortly after we hear from all the speakers, as we would like to hear from you, starting in your personal capacity, in your professional capacity. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges that the WSIS Plus 20 especially, and one of its major outcomes, the Internet Governance Forum, would address better so that we bring progress in those domains and areas. So to introduce you quickly, my speakers, I always like to start from the online speakers because I think they do lose on the fact that they're not having this benefit of being in this room and just enjoying also conversations that are happening outside of the room as well. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Chengetai Masango, who's the head of the Internet Governance Forum Secretariat. Unfortunately, Chengetai couldn't join us in person, although he planned, but I'm happy that he's joining us online, and we will soon be giving floor to him. On my left side, we have Ms. Christina Rida. I'm pretty sure the face and the name well known in this region, a strategic advisor to the executive president and a board member with the National Telecommunications Regulatory Authority in Egypt. Next to Christine, we have also, again, familiar face. I was just telling to Mr. Shafiq Chaya that he will be probably spending his day here on this stage. Senior External Relations Officer with RIPE MCC. And then on my right, I have a great pleasure to also introduce to you Ms. Vassan Alabadi, who is the content creator at Bridge International for Academic Services, has wonderful background. And I think soon the probably busiest or one of the busiest persons of this meeting will be joining us. So I will leave the introduction later for Ayman, our dear colleague from UNESCO. But let's go into the first part of this session just to set the stage to see where we are with respect to the evolution of digital governance, looking back in the past 20 years, and especially how do we chart our path forward. So in that sense, I want to invite Chengetai, please, to address us. Chengetai, I have a quick question for you, not an easy one, I'm sure. What are the most pressing challenges in global digital governance today? And to what extent do you think the IGF effectively is addressing these challenges, and where do gaps remain still? If we could unmute Chengeta in Zoom and project the screen. Yes, we can see you. But I think we still can't hear you, so let's just give a second for the sound to come in.
I'm sorry, but we were supposed to tell our story, but due to the internet coincidences here, we couldn't speak.
So can we unmute Chengeta in Zoom? We can see his video in the room. Chengeta, can you check the output on your side, please? Or if you are unmuted, that's the instruction I'm receiving from the technical team. Maybe in the chat you can type to Chengeta. I'm not sure he can hear us. So we're gonna give Chengeta a minute, and I suggest we start with Christine, and then we'll go back to Chengeta, and in the background you can work on the issue. Christine, because you have been active in the WSIS processes since the beginning. You've been one of the pioneers, especially for this region. You know the region very well, but you also know the world very well. So I want to ask you, what role do governments play in strengthening the digital governance ecosystem? And how do you see the role of national and regional IGFs contributing to a more effective digital cooperation?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Anya. I was counting on having first Shanghai lay out the themes, but I think we can maybe move to governments and their role, and then we can look back at how that relates to the topics at the stake. So first, I'd like to thank you, Anya, for your introduction, and actually also for taking the time to organize this important session on the global process, especially in this milestone year as which marks the 20-year review of the WSIS, but also the 20th anniversary of the IGF. And since I'm taking the mic for the first time, I would like, okay, that better? Okay, thank you. And since I'm taking the mic for the first time, I would like to thank the Kingdom of Jordan for hosting us, as well, of course, as thank the ESCWA and the League of Arab States for organizing the second edition of the Arab International Digital Cooperation and Development Forum, and also the 7th meeting of the Arab Internet Governance Forum. So like Ms. Bogdan Martin, the ITU Secretary General, was saying rightfully this morning in her opening remarks, that digital is now topping global agendas everywhere. And I'm sure everyone is seeing that. And indeed, the internet and the digital agenda have in recent years assumed the most critical role, I would say, in the development of societies and their economic prosperity. So it's no surprise to see the continuously increasing interest of governments to assume a greater role in the global digital governance space. With the complexity of issues that are at stake, it is not only well justified, but in my view, it is also a very positive thing to see more involvement of governments in this space, especially because governments have the mandate to protect global public interest, especially with issues related to the digital sovereignty, national security, citizens' well-being and their rights, and their privacy and their online safety. And I believe this stems from the very nature of the internet and the digital sphere. As Shafiq was saying, the very nature of this sphere is that it requires technical capabilities, and it requires cross-border collaboration So this is why we're seeing that it is increasingly important to have the role of governments in the global sphere. So this was clearly highlighted by in 20 years back by the WSIS outcome, still holds. Recently, the Global Digital Compact has also emphasized that. But maybe while being very influential and with the power and authority that governments have, they still face a number of challenges. And I think it's very important for us to look at those challenges to see how to effectivize the role of governments and make them have a more efficient and effective role in that sphere. And those challenges, if I may, they include cross-border coordination, but also cross-stakeholder collaboration. Also, the resources to engage in increasingly overlapping and fragmented policy sphere. The topics are everywhere, and governments, especially from developing countries, are increasingly having a hard time following those processes in an effective manner. That, of course, with the continuously evolving technical space, technology is moving at a pace that is very rapid. Having human resources and human technical capabilities to follow that is increasingly challenging. So having said that, I think it's very important that that governments embrace more and more the multi-stakeholder notion as an inspiration and a complementary means to have more effective multilateral and decision-making processes for digital governance. Making sure that policies are well-informed, technically feasible, and sustainable in terms of their long-term impact and implication that goes beyond their own, the borders of their own territory. So I believe the IGF over 2 decades has provided a great space to address those challenges explicitly because it is allowing for cross-stakeholder dialogue. It is allowing for technology to emerge in a grassroots level and organically, and it is allowing for innovation in terms of policy dialogue. And I think one of the most powerful vehicles of the IGF in that sense has been the NRIs. The NRIs are providing this means to really connect at national, at regional level in a grassroots and bottom-up manner. And it would be a pity not to leverage that important vehicle as we are at this milestone evaluation of the WSIS and the IGF. So I believe leveraging that network to capitalize on the value that the IGF is providing in the digital governance sphere is of utmost importance. I will stop here and I can engage more in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christine. And I'm glad that you've also underlined when speaking about the role of the governments, the fact that each stakeholder group, governments included, is really dependent on cooperation with other stakeholder groups. It's just the nature of the matter that we're dealing with that requires that. I want to see with the technical team, can we go back to Chengetai to try? He will restart, so we will wait. Okay, thank you very much. Then in that sense, I want to now move to another stakeholder group that has a very specific role in our multi-stakeholder setup that's gathered around the IGF and other processes as well, which is the technical community. You are basically giving us the base for everything else that we have. If we don't have stable infrastructure, then we can't speak about using the maximum potential of digital technologies. So on that point, Shafiq, what do you see as the role of the technical community in today's global digital governance? And what do you see as the biggest challenge in this space? And in that sense, is there a vision among the technical community stakeholders, particularly how the WSIS Plus 20 and the Global Digital
testing the
would address this? Chengetai test successful. Can you wait a minute that we
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Shafiq, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you so much. Once again, it's a pleasure being with you today here. And as technical community, we are committed to this multi-stakeholder, bottom-up inclusive approach. Before the inception of WSIS, I think the only institutions who are working in this multi-stakeholder approach were the International Internet Organization. With the WSIS and the creation of IGF, the multi-stakeholder approach and the multi-stakeholder internet governance approach, it complemented our work. We have two challenges, let's say, in this approach. The first challenge, each one of the multi-stakeholder has its own agenda and has its own interest and challenges. So we need to find a common ground between these stakeholders to find the priorities. And here, once again, as Christine said, if we want to go on a national level, we can see that each country has its own challenge and its own priorities. So as a technical community, we can't have one, a solution fits all. So we need to have tailored solution for each country to address these challenges. And the second challenge that we are facing is the capacity building. So wherever we go, we see that even though if we have the latest technology, but without the skills and know-how, it's useless. So we need to give the capacity building to these stakeholders in order to catch up with the technology that we are using in these countries. So as technical community, we are supportive for NRIs, and we do have our initiatives like the NOGs, which are technical initiatives that complement the NRIs, which are a little bit targeted policy issues. So aligning technical community efforts with the WSIS efforts, with the governments and local community efforts, I believe we can reach a place where we can achieve our common goals. And our common goals, as usual, is to have a digital future for everyone. And I will give the floor to Chantagai.
Thank you very much. Changatai, I believe we can see you. We will see you soon, but we can definitely hear you. So we would like to go back to you after Shafiq. Just to tell us, as I announced, what do you see as the biggest challenges with respect to digital governance? Do you see the IGF's evolution as addressing it meaningfully? Where are the gaps?
Thank you very much. And also, first of all, I'd just like to express my appreciation and congratulations to the Kingdom of Jordan, the Arab IGF community, its multi-stakeholder organizing committee, ESQA, and ESQA for organizing this important meeting. And thank you for having me. So today's digital landscape encompasses a myriad of interconnected challenges intersecting society, technology, the economy, development, and politics. However, allow me to highlight a few key areas that we at the IGF have identified through our bottom-up consultative process. First and foremost, digital inclusion and the persistent digital divide continues to demand our attention and action, despite years, if not decades, of continuous investment. An estimated 2.6 billion people remain completely offline, even as connectivity expands. Vast segments of the global population still lack reliable and meaningful access to digital technologies and the internet. This gap not only restricts economic opportunities, but also exacerbates existing social inequalities on a global scale. The online environment is still not fully safe and secure place. As critical infrastructure becomes increasingly digitized, the risk of cyber attacks continue to rise, affecting everything from national security to everyday services. This challenge is further exacerbated by the rapid evolution of technology, enabling both state and non-state actors to launch sophisticated attacks that disrupt economies, including personal economies as well. Another critical challenge is the rapid pace of AI development, which is closely tied to data processing, privacy, and protection. The unprecedented scale at which data, including personal data, is collected and processed has raised urgent concerns about consent, surveillance, and the protection of human rights. Through the IGF, we see a growing need for cooperation between state and non-state actors to strike a balance between national security measures and data-driven innovation, all while ensuring that people's fundamental rights remain a top priority. Finally, misinformation and disinformation continue to be growing challenges, especially in the era of generative AI and deepfakes. This issue is closely linked to the broader debate on regulating online content, striking the right balance between combating harmful content and preserving freedom of expression. And especially at this time when we have, I think the past 2 years, we've had the most elections that we've had in this 10-year cycle. Although policy challenges are expanding and often testing our local and global capacities to address them effectively, I firmly believe that we have developed processes that enable us to respond to these challenges in a meaningful way. I refer to the unique multi-stakeholder model of the IGF as one of them, which is now supported by over 176 national, regional, and youth initiatives, including the Arab IGF. Through these mechanisms, we foster dialogue and collaboration amongst diverse stakeholder groups, from governments and civil society to the technical communities and the private sector. The issue I mentioned are just a sample of those regularly featured in both the UN IGF's agenda and the agenda of the national and regional initiatives. This mechanism is invaluable as it helps us understand how challenges differ. What matters in Jordan may differ from situations in Vanuatu or Peru, reflecting the global diversity of digital governance issues and opportunities. Nevertheless, despite these strengths and notable gaps remain, we recognize that not all stakeholders are fully engaged in our processes, even though we see increasing participation each year as a positive indicator of progress. There is still much to be done. Our trust is placed in the WSIS Plus 20 review and in the ongoing work of the IGF. We anticipate a strengthened multi-stakeholder approach to internet governance as we prepare for the General Assembly to formalize the global community's needs and demands. At the IGF, the newly appointed 20th anniversary MAG, designated this year by the Secretary General, collaborates with the leadership panel to make the forum more strategic, inclusive, and closely connected to every stakeholder around the world. We are also working very closely with other processes like the WSIS Forum and AI for Good, just to name a few, UNESCO as well. And we hope this enhanced approach will bring us closer to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chengetai. Indeed, it's becoming complicated. These topics are becoming extremely demanding, and I think requiring more resources from different stakeholders and from our joint multi-stakeholder cooperation. But I think I'll tell you from the experience of the IGF Secretariat, what gives us a lot of optimism and confidence that we are heading toward, I think, right direction. Is really our work with young people. When you work with young people from around the world, you see the incredible strength, enthusiasm, and just knowledge and understanding of how digital works. These newer generations, as they're coming more and more, are just digital natives. They don't recall the times when we had to live our lives in an analog environment completely. For them, their phones have always been with them. And in that sense, I'm very happy that we have my dear colleague Vassan with us here. So Vassan, digital is a modus vivendi for young people. And I wanted to see with you, with respect to your generation as well, and I know you're also working with young colleagues from around the world. What is your request or your expectation from the current generation of decision makers, of experts and leaders? with respect to decisions that can make the digital environment even better so that you feel more comfortable working and just living in those conditions.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. My name is Wasan Al-Abadi. I'm content creator and I'm social media specialist. I'm so happy to be here with you today. The digital world is a big part of young people's lives and future. As the next leaders, we want to some important changes. One, better online safety, strong rules to keep our data safe and stop online dangers. Two, internet for everyone, cheap and easy internet for all people. Three, more support for young ideas, help young people start and grow online projects. Four, good rules for AI, smart technology, make sure AI is fair and safe. Five, stop fake news, control wrong information, and support real news. Young people want today's leaders to listen to young people. Let us let us help make digital rules and teach digital skills. Help us learn coding and online safety and make fair laws to protect people's rights online. Also, support new businesses, help young people create and grow ideas. We need a digital world that is safe and helps young people have a better future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vasant. That's a nice to-do list for those who have the power of decision-making in this room. And on that note, I would like now to open the floor, and as I think we're all eager to hear from you in terms of your views of what you've heard so far on this panel. But I would like to invite you to maybe share with us, just starting from your domains, where you work, where you live, what is needed to make your digital environment and the conditions better? Can WSIS Plus 20, can the IGF be of any support or any help in that regard? So the floor is open. You can raise your hand. We are going to give the floor, and I hope we have prepared the roving mics somewhere. While you're thinking, I do have one question for you, which I'll be eager to hear. At the IGF, it's a big ecosystem for those maybe who are not that active in its annual meeting or in its intersessional work. It's an important year. This year marks the 20th annual IGF meeting, which will be hosted in Norway, in Lillestrøm, from 23rd to 27th of June this year. And so we're very much preparing, knowing that we are in the context of the WSIS Plus 20 review, but also the implementation of the Global Digital Compact. Our multi-stakeholder advisory group that Chengetai mentioned, that by the way also includes a number of experts coming from this region, including from Jordan, is now strategically discussing how to strategically position the IGF better in this global digital governance ecosystem. There is one idea that's floating around among some of the MEG members through their working group, which is to, in a multi-stakeholder setup, to organize specifically a track where only the governments will be speaking to each other and then extending that to a dialogue to other stakeholders. And I want to put this question here on this floor. I think that group would also benefit from the views that we can bring from the Arab IGF to understand. So your views, and do you think that other forms of cooperation between different stakeholders could be useful for this region, including for the Global IGF? We have two hands, gentlemen in the first row, and then we're going to go to the second row. Yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Hossein Badran. I'm a member of the Arab IGF Steering Committee. It's an honor since many years, and also the Canadian IGF. I'm based in Canada. My question relates to, my comment relates to your question, and I have a different question that relates what we have been hearing this morning. To your point, I think it's very valuable to have a community of stakeholders, a stakeholder in the same domain, parliamentarians, journalists, government representatives, to discuss issues of their concern that relate to the internet governance, and then come with conclusions or more informed ideas to the more open multi-stakeholder debate. I think this will be quite fruitful, as long as it's part of under the same umbrella and not a new institution that's being created. My question, where I'd like to hear your comments and the comments of the panelists, relates to what we have been hearing this morning regarding the GDC implementation, the dialogue that's being initiated, and also the scientific panel. How do you see the relationship with the IGF with the implementation of the GDC? Do you see, for example, that the dialogue can take place as part of the IGF? Or do you see it being a new entity, or what would be your opinion? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask our panelists to volunteer who wants to respond. But while you're thinking, maybe we can hear from Hanan, and then we're going to respond to both questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Anya, for convening this panel. I think it's important to bring the discussion to the Arab region about the future. And thank you for sharing with us the floating ideas about how can we make this work. I think through 20 years so far working on this process, it has been an ordeal, to say the least, for all the stakeholders to be involved on equal footing for various reasons. From my experience working with different stakeholders, I think what I see more important now is to ensure everybody concerned is in the same room. It's not easy to do that. I understand that the Secretariat has been doing a tremendous effort bringing everybody concerned to the room. So that's why I think the regional processes can play a role in streamlining the work that you're already doing. But because this is a decisive moment, I believe that the General Assembly will be yet another key moment that we don't want the Arab region to miss out on. So we do have representation, but I don't believe it's enough. Simply because of reasons that's out of control, that the digital agenda is not yet a priority, like a serious priority for a lot of countries, for many reasons. We're not going to dive into them, but we need to make sure that somehow we have representation that will beyond, the question of the dialogue, whether we need to have a dialogue among governments and then we bring, the opinion to a different room where other stakeholders, let's not maybe focus on those details because the substance required to move forward is huge. So that's my personal opinion, just based on all the work that we've been doing. It's important also to bank on the intersessional work of the IGF because there is really serious work that's being produced, concrete, with specific outcomes that can help advise, on the next steps, because I believe most of the those avenues, the international intersessional work avenues is led by top experts in their field of expertise. And I believe that in terms of, dealing with the issues as we outlined them, like the data governance issue, AI governance, the mechanisms, I think there is already work that has been done, and I think we have to capitalize on it. Now, what I see important really is engage people who are not in these mediums and convince them. I know that you've got a lot of work to do to convince people that this is important. So why I'm saying this, because the perspective of, the governments is definitely distinct from the private sector or the technical community. And we need that medium where we're going to bring everybody together to have the same level of understanding. I understood that is very critical if you want to move forward with the digital agenda. No matter how simple it sounds, but it's really, really important. So I think this year, there is a lot of good work that is going on, from the implementation of the GDC to the review. We need to capitalize on the opportunity of making, this year count, so we can start whatever is going to happen in the General Assembly, whether we're going to get another 10 years, another 5 years of the process, is to really kick it off in a way where we have all the key people, and the regions can work in their local context to bring everybody together. Easier said than done. I understand perfectly what it means, but I believe that's how we can streamline the work that you're already doing, to make sure that we have all the people concerned in one room. And thanks again for giving me the floor.
Thank you very much, Hanan. Perhaps while you're thinking whether there will be more questions, we could maybe respond to these really valuable comments and this question about the implementation of the Global Digital Compact and how the WIS Plus 20 and the GDC could work together. So maybe to start from Christine.
Yes, thank you very much for that question, and I think that's the $1 million question in the room. But it is important actually to consider, like Hanan was saying, the collective wisdom of the IGF community and the tremendous work that has been put there, not just in the annual meetings, the 19 past and the 20, we're almost at the 21, but also the quite intensive intersessional work. And reading through the GDC and attending many of the negotiations that happened in terms of themes, personally, I felt not alien at all from the discussions that were happening within the IGF. So maybe why wasn't it possible actually to well position the IGF in a way, and there is still a chance to do that for the implementation of the GDC? I think most of what Hanan has mentioned is at the root cause of that, and we've been struggling with talking to the preached community, preaching to the converted community within our own region, and getting beyond our own stakeholders has been quite a challenge. And to do that, there's a lot of, I would say, I don't want to call it sacrifice, but there's a lot of really going out of your comfort zone to embrace that digital is just beyond the classical players of the digital sphere and has moved into many, many areas of our societies. So getting other people into the room is important. Focusing on the power of the IGF as a policy shaping venue is also very important. There's a lot of development work that is happening out there. There's a lot of technical stuff and education that is happening, but the policy discussions is something that is really unique. Not unique, but the IGF is really focusing on that, and it's unique in terms of being only focusing on policies, and this is something that we should leverage. So to take the example of AI governance, and this is a topic that has been increasingly gaining interest within the IGF in the last couple of even few years. I'm not sure to which extent this is going beyond the IGF community. And in that, we were discussing recently in the NRI network, the importance of the NRI to talk as an NRI beyond the IGF community. And I'm not saying to break any well-established rules here, but I'm just saying that go beyond the normal classical channels of communication and really leverage that NRI network. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Christine. Shafiq, your views?
Thank you, Anya. It's not a secret that as technical community, we have concern about the fragmentation on internet governance dialogue. So we know that we deal with multiple fragmentation on the internet level. We have technical fragmentation, we have the commercial, and we have the governance fragmentation. And what we can see now is another fragmentation on internet governance dialogue between the UN agencies. And this is really one of the concerns that we are looking at. So what's happening now? We can see that a lot of initiatives, WSIS, IGF, GDC, sorry, yeah, exactly. So these initiatives, they are dealing with the same topics, with the same issues. And the issue is that we don't reach a consensus. These topics are still contested and are still debated in each and every venue at UN level. So what we have here, we have 3 or 4 venues dealing with the same topic, and we have not reached any consensus. So I believe IGF, as it is the only inclusive multi-stakeholder platform that can, get together the diverse perspective, can play an important role in getting all these topics and have one consensus platform to discuss it, because it's a waste of time and waste of resource to attend these events and discuss these topics. It's really hectic for us. So once again, aligning these efforts is a must. And I believe IGF, let me see that one of the platform, not two, okay? So can be the platform where we can meet and we can discuss all these contested topics.
Thank you very much, Shafiq. Vassan, I have a quick question for you. It relates to the comments that we received from the floor. Unlike on my left side, and of course, Chengetai, you haven't been since the beginning, obviously, in these processes, but you're very active with respect to digital. You recently won UNESCO's Youth Hackathon Award, among so many other recognitions. So I want to quickly ask you, as a young person, firstly, do you feel that there is enough of these opportunities where you can give that to-do list to the senior decision makers as a young person, and where you receive a meaningful response back, where actions can be initiated?
I think we should focus on ensuring long-term sustainability and digital governance through a strong digital system and equal access to technology.
Thank you, Vassan. My last call for you, if anyone has a last comment, this would be the last opportunity. Otherwise, there is one. Yes, please, we have one here, and then we're gonna slowly start wrapping up. I think you can just wait for a microphone, please.
We all agree that the transformation towards the digital world is a fantastic idea and everybody is looking for. Given the potentials or undiscovered potentials and opportunities laid for the young people in this world, we have also to make some, or to focus our attention on some aspects that have been not dealt well very seriously, and we didn't give them their deserved attention, especially removing the trust or the digital trust that most of the people are facing in this world. So, for example, if we ask any of the young people or those who have good experience in the digital world, if you want to move to Binance, for example, to trade the Bitcoins or the altcoins, what are the skills or the potentials that you have so that you can, from the first jump, you can go to this world and be a professional in very limited time? From my personal experience, I entered the world, Binance world, for example, but still now, I don't have the trust to invest my money in this platform because I don't have any guarantees that if my money would be lost or something. So there are issues and aspects that need to be given more concentration and attention so that we can fully trust and also guarantee that there are some policies or regulations that control this aspect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, trust is one of the central components of all the IGF discussions, really cross-cuts all areas. And I will ask my colleagues to, in their concluding remarks, also address that very important question. So let's start from Christine, please.
Yes, I thank you very much for your comment, because your comment shows the importance of having bottom-up topics related to policy challenges come through. So you're talking from your personal experience, which is related to the new technology you're trying to use, but it's also related to your locality, where you're based, where you're going to use that, what is the trust that is provided by the local environment, whether the government policies that are in place on your national level, or even the cooperation between your government and other governments in the jurisdiction area where you are providing, where you are taking that service, whichever it is. So you're touching upon a challenge that is very, let's say, ethnic to the IGF DNA, because explicitly the IGF has those type of discussions happening between, for example, operators of new services, like you mentioned, and governments in some place of the world, or between two governments here and there with another type of stakeholder. And this is why it is very important to have the people like you engage in national discussions and in regional discussions, and bring that types of challenges up to the global level. And I'm not providing a solution. I'm just saying that there is an opportunity for us to bring up those topics, to, put in new ideas, not just simply talk about legacy topics, which are also important, like access and things like that, but also new and emerging topics. And thank you, Anya.
Thank you very much. We have one last comment briefly here, and then we're gonna have to wrap up. Otherwise, your lunch break will be very, very short. So yes, please, sir. If you could just have a mic here.
Thank you once again. My question is related to, as a father, I'm a father. I have a fear for the content for my children. If I'm wondering if is there some cooperation to a project or to forbidden dangerous content for our children, because Allah يحفظ إن شاء الله, we ask Allah salama. We will have in 20 years, we will have childhood in trouble, in Greece problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Maybe Shafiq, to be pragmatical here, if you could also address this question. I'm pretty sure Chagatai will address as well, and just give your concluding remarks. Then we're going to go to Chagatai.
Thank you, Anya. No doubt, collaboration on putting the right policies is really important and critical, because your concern here is not only applied to your country or your children, it applies to everywhere. So that's why collaboration in putting policies based on evidence, based on facts and numbers is very important. And we are trying to do this as technical community. We are trying to give the statistics, the information, the technical background, so government can put the right policies and can put the regulation that can protect its civilians. So this is without saying, it goes without saying. So this is answering the question. My closing remarks in one sentence, I believe, Anya, in this evolving internet governance landscape, dialogue, trust, collaboration are the three important terms that we need to work on it. Without dialogue, we don't know, we need to know the concern of our stakeholders. Trust, without trust, no one will help and support our initiatives. And collaboration, we need the expertise of each one. As technical, once again, as technical community, we have our technical expertise. We give it to the governments to put the right policies. We have the academic, the civil society, and the private, so they can put their input and we can reach a resilient digital future for everyone. Thank you.
That was an excellent summary, and thank you very much, Shafiq. I just want to briefly go to Chengetai online for his reflection and brief concluding remarks, and then we're going to continue chatting over lunch. Chengetai, you have the floor if you...
Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, the core strength of the IGF is that it has been built up. It's been built from the very start as a multi-stakeholder process. And also its reach, as you've mentioned, it's over 176 national and regional initiative. And as Shafiq has said, so in trying to formulate our digital future, it is very important that we have inclusion as well. And the way we also build trust is through inclusion and through dialogue. Well, one thing that I've noticed is that wisdom can come from any corner. It can come from, old people like me. It can come from a, 18-year-old who's at the IGF for the first time and says something or looks at an issue in a different way that the rest of us old folks have not even thought of looking at it. And that's how we can progress to the future. And we hope to continue. And I'll end with a plug. And I would like also to invite all of you to the IGF in Norway. We do have our call for travel support, which is on. So please, yes, please feel free to apply for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chengetai, and a huge thank you to all of you for your patience and your active participation. As said, we have 2 more days here, so we're going to obviously continue discussing on these important topics and the opportunities that I think are around us. It's just a matter of grabbing them and using them wisely.